All right, so good evening, everyone. Right. Um, Let me get something here. Right. I'll try to. And that brings me some days ago I said something. Sorry, I said let me start with back testing before AMA section. Yeah. Some days ago I said something on my status that I don't use premium trading view, right? And AMA right section. And some persons were like, how do you do it, right? How do I do it and things like that. Although I said I'm going to make a special video on that, not just for you guys, but for everyone, right, on WhatsApp. Yeah. But then there is something I actually want you guys to know, right? When it comes to back testing, you don't actually need all of those things, right? If you're cool with them, right, it's okay. If you like them, like some persons enjoy the two that replay two. I don't know if you know the two I'm talking about. That replay two, right? Some persons enjoy that too, and others do not, right? And some persons who actually don't see the need, we just trade without it. So it's something that I see that is actually unnecessary. It's not really necessary, right? Depends on the type of person you are, though. Now let me go to the real thing. Oh my gosh. So this is weekly time frame, right? So I want to come in two approaches. This is weekly time frame. If I'm to use chart pattern, right, to check things on this weekly time frame, you see that it's a bullish chart pattern and price actually broke out, right? Price actually broke out. That is if I'm using chart pattern to focus on these charts, right? Price actually broke out. Here is just price making series of lower highs and lower lows, right? Lower highs and my gosh, lower highs and lower lows, right? From this point, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, until we got ready to break out, right? Before we broke out. This is me using chart patterns to explain things for you, right? But now coming to using smart money concepts, right? That is, I'll have to clear all of these things. But then you can know that chart pattern tells you now that the chart is bullish, right? So I saw no reason why some persons were shorting at this region, because when we are here, I knew that many people placed short orders at that region, right? Short orders because they know that okay, this is a supply order block. The price is going to sell to the downside, right? But then seeing other blocks doesn't mean the price is going to hold there, even as it is daily time frame or higher time frame, right? I'm having problem with my mouse. So let me just get started with something. I said I'm having like a very big problem. Okay, so I'm going to backtest this from this region of this chart, right? From this region, I don't want to look into everything. From I don't know if I should just look out from here, from this point to the current point, right? So this current point I bit say is at, right? So let's go to 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame. Before I even go there, let me show you something, right? We had a break here. We had a break of market structure here. So anything I'm going to do in lower time frame would be too long because there is no reason to sell since we had this BOS, right? But now, before we had this BOS, there is something that is called a sweep, right? We swept this low. Let me zoom it for you to see. We swept this low. We swept this low, right? And as we swept this low, price closed above that low, not below. Price closed above that low. So from this moment onwards, anything I'm going to be doing from here is just to buy, right? Even if I'm going to sell the market because there will be sales caps, but you know that the sales that you're taking, they are just retracements, right? The main moves are the buyers, right? People buying the market to the upside because we've actually switched bullish for now points, right? These are the 2 points, the high and the low. So as we swept this low, we are going to buy to the upside, sweep this high. And when we swept this high, you see that price dropped a little. But then the bullish momentum, we are much more than the sales, right? Being the fact that even if I'm to use chart pattern on this thing, you see that we're actually going to break out, and then we definitely did. Right. So let me scroll to 4 hour time frame because I only use weekly, right? I use weekly just to determine should I say price movements, right? The macro structures alone. Let me see how many who are here. There are some persons I'm expected to see. Okay, they are all here. Right, so let me use this movement. Say, can you see my screen clearly? Can you see my screen very clear? Can you see my screen very, very clear? All right, so since you can see my screen clear, am I recording? Yeah, I am. Okay, let's say you're looking for a buy, right? After price swept this low from the weekly, right? After price swept this low, if you're looking for a buy, for short-term buy, right? Your take profit target will be this high here. For short-term targets, right? Your take profit targets will be this high here, right? I even had a setup on this thing before it played, and here we had a minor BOS at this point, right? We had a minor BOS here, a minor BOS at that point, right? And after that BOS, you see that price peaked from the fair value gap. It wasn't even from the other blocks, right? Price bought to the upside from this what is name again? From this fair value gap, right? So telling if you had used this breakup block, sorry, if you had used this other block, you'll be taking out, right? And if you had used the one below, you will have a missed entry, right? And if you had used the breaker blocks, you still have a missed entry. I don't think price mitigated that block. Let's see. Price didn't even touch any of them, right? Price only tapped from the fair value gaps. Now, when I analyze this trade, right, like because I traded this setup, right, I knew that price is going to mitigate this. Let me go to that time frame again. Okay, everyone could hear me, right? So price start in their breaker block. Let me go to 3 hour time frame. There is a structure I'm looking for. Okay, you could see the BOS very well here now. You could see the BOS. There was actually two BOS, right? The first one was the small one here. All right, this is the first one here. This is the first one, and this is the second one. So it was don't wait for price to break here before you call it a BOS. Don't wait until price breaks here. That is, if you are trying to scalp, right? Don't wait until price breaks here or breaks here before you start calling BOS. Although all these ones are BOS, so all of these things are levels on the chart. On the charts, all of these highs here, they are levels. These highs are the same, right? So I should be using the peak as the BOS for this one, right? I won't be using here. I won't be using here. I won't be using here or here. I'll be using the highest among the three, right? And that is this one, and that is this highest. So yeah, it's cool. Here is actually a BOS point, but then there are other BOS here, these minor ones that you may not be able to see. Let me scroll to 2 hours, right? Do I speak fast? Like I kind of feel like I speak so fast. Trading the range. Okay, do something for me because I want to be using yeah, I don't know if I speak so fast, so I could slow down how I speak. All right, so take note of this structure. Just recall this structure because X has the same thing. right? There is something about this chart. It's more of like pattern recognition. Sorry, pattern repetition and recognition, right? Your ability to recognize. Let me say. Let me type it out. Pattern repetition, right? Oh my gosh, hope my spelling is right. I'm not gonna fuck up in spelling right now. Repetition and recognition. And recognition. Recall. Nomad. Alright, so pattern repetition and recognition. Right, I should have holding those things. So your ability to see how your ability to see how price repeats, right? Sometimes you see things on the charts, they keep on repeating itself, right? Let's say things like BOS, your ability to spot BOS almost every time that price forms them, right? And your ability to recognize, okay, this thing is BOS. I saw when it has happened before, and it's going to happen this time because you've seen it many times, right? You've seen it many times on the chart, and then you're able to recognize how this pattern plays. So all you have to do is wait for when next a pattern like that repeats in the chart so that you can do the same thing, right? So now try to recognize this pattern here. This is a high, right? And this is a low, right? So price swept this low and bought to the upside, right? And price swept this high and at this point. Price swept this high at this point and sold to the downside, right? You might have heard of, oh my gosh, I don't want to just start diving into analyzing. You might have heard of buy and sell side liquidity, right? When price takes out the buy side liquidity and then reverses, takes out the sell side liquidity and then reverses. That is the same scenario with this one, right? Price took out the old low, right? Then bought to the upside, then took out the old high, then reverses. So the same concept that we use on Earth because the same pattern repeated there and I was able to recognize the same pattern and then I traded it. So now as a trader, you may not be able to know that price is going to buy from here, right? You may not be able to know that because it's something that either you're going to use all of them like this so that you won't miss entry. But your ability to tell that price is going to buy from this LVG is almost to zero, right? Unless you've seen patterns like this keep on repeating. The ability to tell that price is going to repeat the same path. Sorry, the ability to tell that price is going to buy from this LVG, right? It's almost to zero. Yeah, because I know that you're gonna go for this either this other block at other block below or the other block at the top, right? But now that won't be a problem because trading from here is very risky. You need to take something with a sure confirmation, right? And your next entry from missing since price goes from here, there is something I gave you guys on other blocks, right? It says checklist for choosing another block. It must mitigate a prior order block, right? A prior OB, right? Something like that. So if you're going to be looking for an entry to buy, I mean, I'm not talking about fractal structures, all of these structures there, right? If you're looking for an entry to buy from, your next entry will be coming from this other block here, right? Now, this one has acted as the prior OB. This one here at this point, right? Why this one will be your new entry. This is a change of character that formed there. If I don't want to mark it, but if you look where you see it clearly, a change of character occurred there, and we have our BOS. Change of character comes with a BOS. Let me reduce this. Right, so we had a minor BOS, and you could see that price tapped on that in as much as price hit TP. Remember, I told you that you don't enter from this FVG directly unless you're going to be taking everything because normally you can't tell. Trust me, I don't predict the chart. I can't tell where price we buy from if I haven't seen that pattern play, right? So I can't tell that okay, price is going to buy from this FVG alone. Right? Because if I could tell, I would just use the FVG without bothering about the other blocks. But then being the fact that we are humans and we are traders, right? we may try to avoid things like stop losses. So we may not want to take this trade because you may take this thing and price snipes it like this and then reverses to the upside, right? Or use the other block alone. Let's say you use the other block, this other block here, right? And price snipes out of that other block and tap the FVG, you hit SL, right? Or you use the last one and price didn't even tap on it. Price gives you miss entries. So the best entry for this one will be from price mitigating this other block and you picking your entry from the prior OB, right? Now this will be your new entry. This will be your new entry and your new take profit target, right? We even have several entries there. This will be your new entry. This will be your new entry and you'll be targeting this high, right? Please don't be making use of don't be making use of weekly highs when you're setting your TP. No, you can use the weekly time frame to determine levels. Yeah. But then for your take profit targets, right? Just use the closest high from any lower time frame you're going to be refining from. Right. Use the closest high and the closest low if you're buying or selling, right? So and this will be your re-entry. And this re-entry hits take profit targets, right? This re-entry actually hits CP. Now let's say you don't want to take, let's say you miss this entry, right? Or you took this entry, but then you needed a more rewarding trade. You can close this trade at some point because we had a confirmation entry somewhere else, right? We also had a confirmation entry. Let me show you that. Before I continue with the confirmation entry, are you able to tell what I did here? Like from this region, you are able to understand what I did from this region to this region. Hello, where are they? Are you able to understand what I did there? Okay, don't worry. This actually, yeah, you don't have to speak, please. I muted you, so it won't get noisy. All right, so remember there are also cell structures inside here, but then like I said, we're in a higher time frame and you shouldn't be looking for cells yet, right? So we are actually bullish totally. So you shouldn't be focused on sales, right? Just be focusing on buys because if you look at the opportunities to sell, they are lesser than the ones to buy. So just focus on the buy, right? Now let me scroll deeper. Let me scroll deeper into the structures, all of these structures here. Right, so let me scroll deeper into them. So here is another confirmation entry for you, right? Let me zoom out. A confirmation entry for you at this point. So here is another order block. The price was coming from this other block in full. You know, this is a full order block, right? Let me use 4 hour time frame. 4 hour. I need a time frame you could see the other block well, right? This is a full order block. Now you're looking for confirmation entry, especially I don't want to use indicators there to show you things because I don't see their need, right? But then you're looking for confirmation entry to buy the market to the upside, right? And we had a confirmation entry at this point. We had another confirmation entry at this point, right? We had a confirmation entry at this point. Some persons will refine this other block, but then refining is good. So when you refine the solar block, it mitigated the week. But then we have a confirmation entry at this point, right? This is a change of character, right? A change of character. This is like a BOS. If you watch the video on market structure, right? We have scenarios where price break structure with wicks. And we had the break structure with body. We call them BOS with wick and BOS with body, right? And in this scenario, the BOS here was with week, right? And after we closed with week, so after we closed the week, price reversed back and mitigated another block leg. So there was a BOS there, right? And we reversed back and bought from that same region. Price reversed and bought from that region. 3 hour time frame. I can't see the other block I like at this point. So I'm going to go to a lower time frame until I keep on until I see the other block I want, right? This is a nice other block. This is a nice one here, a nice other block, right? So these are confirmation entries. You can choose to enter the trade from this point, right? Without confirmation, without confirmation, right? Without confirmation. Let me drag this thing here. Without confirmation. And you can as well choose to use confirmation entry, right? If you choose to enter this one, just be using the weak mitigation, right? And if you are using confirmation entry, you see that price just tap on this other block here after it's formed the code. Oh my gosh. I'm having problem with my mouse, and it's one of the silliest things you can do on the live session. So you see that using another confirmation entry here, we have price returning to that other block and mitigating it, right? So we have several re-entries at this point, several of them, several re-entries. Let me go back to 4 hour again. Like I said, when analyzing, make use of multi-time frame, like apply multi-time frame analysis, right? Scroll through all the time frames so that you can get a preferred bias, right? Don't just get stuck. Let's say you want to analyze, don't just get stuck on 4 hour and say that you're not going to use anything lower than 4 hour, right? Yeah, feel free to scroll through all the time frames until you see something that you like, right? For instance, now in 4 hour time frame, I couldn't see another block that I preferred. But in 3 hours time frame, I saw a nice other block. I saw a very nice other block to pick my entry from, right? To pick my entry from. Something is wrong. To pick my entry from, right? So, and this is one other block like that. Let me cancel this. Okay, for you, I'm gonna get a new mouse tomorrow, next tomorrow. Right? Now, even if you don't enter from here, I'm just showing you the several ways you can enter a trade. Even if you don't enter from here, you can actually enter from this other block here. From this other block here. Why? We are now in a complete uptrend, right? And now you can enter from here because okay, you can enter from here because price book structure, right? We had a break. This is like a trend continuation. Remember, change of character indicates reversals, right? Just as how we are in a downtrend, as change of character formed, it's formed twice, right? One here and the other, it's formed twice. The first time it's formed here, we showed a sign of buy, right? And the last time it's formed, we reversed completely to an uptrend, right? My screen is not responding effectively. It showed a complete reversal to the upside. Okay, this Zoom session will be ending in 9 minutes time. We spent 30 minutes already. So I'll be rehosting the next section. Too bad I don't even have time to say things I wanted to say. So we broke structure, and you know that BOS is a continuation sign, telling you that every time we have a BOS, right, you can as well buy from the other block because the trend is now clear that we are buying to the upside, right? So this is a nice other block to buy from, right? A nice other block to buy from, and it's a pin bar. So I like pin bars. They have a higher probability of holding than any other candlestick. Right? The pin bars, they hold more than any other blocks I've seen. So you could see that there are several entries here, several entries at this point, right? Several entries to take on trade. We also had our BOS. Remember, as price keeps breaking structure, we keep buying to the upside, right? As price keeps breaking structure, we keep buying to the upside. We keep up buying, right? We keep up buying. All these demand, all these entries to buy from, right? But if price doesn't mitigate them and break structure, you look forward to the next one, right? If price doesn't mitigate them and then price breaks structure, you look forward to the next one. And I think this one happened to mitigate. Yeah, price stacked on this one. But then I won't be looking to enter trade now from this point. It will be risky than when price was at this point that the trend was shock play. So you could see that there are several ways to take trades. Just on this chart alone, I've shown you several entries and re-entries, right? Let me clear all these things. Several entries and re-entries. So they are like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And the last one was more rewarding. The last one was more rewarding because the more you refine, the more price refines to go up, the more you see better rewarding trades. Look at how they were 19 RR, 1 is to 19, 1 is to 10, 1 is to 8, 1 is to 9. So, but then the goal is not just to get a much rewarding RR, it's to trade something, is to trade and make money, right? Don't confuse anything. Just trade and make money, right? So you've seen everything. Before I proceed, just BTC alone took 30 minutes to explain. This session will be ending in next 7 minutes. So before I proceed, do you guys understand what I just did here? Do you understand? Some extent. Well, it's cool. All right, let me just finish this one up. All right, you see that there is one thing with when we are in a bull market, you hardly see entries. I mean, if you miss the main place to see entries, right? You will hardly see entries. You will hardly see them. You will hardly see entries. If you miss the main place to take trades from, you will hardly see them. This one is weekly high. Remember, let me go to weekly time frame. 1 week. Enter. Yeah, that is weekly high that I said that take profit at. Right, but then you shouldn't do that. When you're trading, just set your take profit target in the nearest high, right? So, so whenever we are pumping, right? Whenever you miss the actual move, for you to regain that move, it will take time. Unless price starts retracing, right? You see entry mainly in a retracement. Let me use AMD to explain something. Okay, so whenever price is accumulating, right? Whenever price is accumulating, if you cannot find if you cannot find entry in this accumulation and price leaves this accumulation, you will hardly find entry in the markup, right? And same thing goes with the distribution. The same thing goes with a distribution, right? The same thing goes with a distribution. If you cannot find entry in this distribution phase, right, and price happens to leave there, you will hardly find entry in the markdown phase, just like that, right? Like that. So whenever you are going to find an entry, it's usually either in the retracement, it's either in the accumulation or the distribution, or sometimes the redistribution. There is what is called redistribution, right? If you saw that video on accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, this is a redistribution, right? Sorry, area accumulation. Yeah. So why the sell ads? Why the next cell? Let's say this was the opposite, something like this. Let me try to flip. Now here will be a redistribution, right? So just the case. So whenever you lose to find entries at those points, the price has been accumulating or forming some distributions, right? Whenever I lose that region, to find another entry to trade the markup phase or the markdown phase, it will be usually be hard, right? An example is this trade I sent on a group chat lately. I made this analysis 5 days ago, right? 5 days ago, like 6 days ago, right? And I had the trade for 4 days before I closed. It was too slow, and after I closed, the thing pumped from here. So you can see, if you aren't patient enough, you just see it in for you. After I closed at this point, I closed around there, right? On a midnight. The next day I woke up and I saw that price has already pumped up to up to two bullish candlesticks. So now, in this reaccumulation zone here, right? Just like this tiny one here. The first one is this one here. This first one is this phase here, right? And the second one here, before another move, is this one, right? If you cannot find entry here, you can't be finding entry in this bullish candlesticks. No, no. You'll be finding your entries in zones that are accumulating or distributing, right? So you could you could be able to trade the markup phase. This is the markup phase, right? So, and that brings us to go to a lower time frame. If I leave this chart like this, there is no way you ever see an entry. Let me clear this trend line. If I leave this thing like this, you can't see an entry on this chart, right? You can't see an entry. The only thing you can see here is a fair value gap. The only thing you see here is a fair value gap, and price tapped on that fair value gap with this week. I'm going to end this section because it will be ending in the next 1 minute. So I wait a new link in the group. Yeah, wait for a new link in the group. I wait a new link in the group. So I'm ending this one right away.